Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some extremely spicy battles in the Ultra League Premier Cup, featuring level 50 Kecleon. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now, Kecleon is a pure normal type Pokemon with the moveset of Sucker Punch, Foul Play, and Thunder, and while Kecleon only gets to around 2300 CP, this trainer is actually able to get wins with it. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Spicy XL Kecleon in action in the Ultra Premier Cup. Hopping to the first match, sending Kecleon into Trevenant, an incredibly good lead for Kecleon. Opponent is going to save switch into Scrafty, and Scrafty will be answered with XL Mantine. Mantine, of course, is resisting the counters while hitting for super effective damage with Wing Attack. Mantine is going to farm up some energy and go for the Bubble Beam, wanting to get an early debuff to lower the amount of damage Scrafty's able to do in this matchup. Scrafty continues to farm. Mantine honestly doesn't have to shield this as it is now debuffed, as Scrafty goes for the Foul Play. Mantine continuing to farm, going for the Ice Beam here, looking to try and deal some damage onto the Scrafty. Scrafty commits the shield, wanting to try and flip switch. Mantine not about to let that happen, going for yet another Bubble Beam. Bubble Beam gets no shielded. Scrafty has quite a lot of energy here. Decision time for the Mantine. Mantine lets it through. It's a power-up punch bait, and now Mantine may be in a position to shield and Wing Attack down. This is going to be incredibly close. Mantine gets the farm down with a sliver of HP remaining. Mantine is probably just going to blind throw the Ice Beam into the Trevenant, but the opponent sends in an Aurorus instead. Aurorus, unfortunately, not going to take a lot of damage from the Ice Beam, as Aurorus is able to get the farm down, and now you just send in Charizard to try and deal as much neutral damage with Blast Burn as possible to the Aurorus, and then you have Kecleon to absolutely crush the Trevenant in the back. Charizard farming up a ton of energy, going for a bait here. Oh my goodness. Dragon Claw gets the shield. That is massive, as now Charizard will be able to land the Blast Burn. Blast Burn lands onto Aurorus. In comes the Trevenant, and Trevenant is met with XL Kecleon. Trevenant goes for the Seed Bomb. Kecleon actually has some decent bulk for only being 2300 CP, able to tank the Seed Bomb and return fire with the Foul Play. Foul Play gets the Trevenant low. Trevenant going for Seed Bomb number 2 here. This will get the Kecleon low. Kecleon able to hang on, get the farm down, and leave with the Foul Play loaded. Aurorus is so low that even a 0 bubble Foul Play gets the KO and secures the win. Moving into the next match, sending Kecleon into Gyarados. Kecleon farming up some energy here, and we see a beautiful switch and catch of the Aqua Tail onto XL Mantine. Mantine able to absorb that damage like it's nothing. Opponent sends in Trevenant. Trevenant definitely not going to appreciate the Ice Beam from Mantine. Trevenant fires off the Shadow Ball. That gets Mantine deep into the red. Mantine is going to return fire with the Ice Beam here, trying to deal big damage or grab a shield from the Trevenant. Trevenant lets it go, and just like that, Mantine is able to take switch. Bad news, the Gyarados is still out there, and Gyarados could be a bit of a problem. Opponent is going to send in their final Pokemon, which is a Escavalier. So winning switch here is massive, as now Escav is going to get stuck against the Charizard. In comes Charizard, opponent sends in the Gyarados. Kecleon going for the Thunder. Do they respect the damage? They do not! Gyarados gets one shot, and that is a good game. Picking up the Dream lead in the next match, Kecleon into Jellicent. Opponent save switches into Greedent. Kecleon gonna bank some energy and then send in the Mantine. We've got the battle of bulk here between XL Mantine and XL Greedent. One unfortunate thing, however, is that the Greedent already has a ton of energy, already able to reach back-to-back body slams and get the Mantine close to half health before Mantine is able to apply a debuff with Bubble Beam. And honestly, I believe that's probably going to mean that Greedent is going to be able to flip switch here. Greedent going for the body slam. This one is now debuffed, so Mantine going to be able to tank it and return fire with the Ice Beam here. Ice Beam will hit for some neutral damage, getting that Greedent below half health. Greedent continuing to farm. Greedent has so much energy here. Body Slam is not quite going to KO the Mantine. Mantine able to let that through. Can't make it to the Ice Beam, as unfortunately Greedent is able to make it to another Body Slam. Down goes the Mantine. In comes Kecleon. Opponent gives up switch, and they bring back in the Jellicent. Opponent one switch, only to give it back, and that is bad news for the opponent, as there's just not really much of anything Jellicent can do in this matchup. Jellicent going for the Bubble Beam there. At the very least, they'll get to debuff off the Kecleon, but still, unfortunately, they're just not going to get a lot of value out of the Jellicent now that they switched it back into the Kecleon. My guess is opponent was just unfamiliar with Kecleon's moveset and coverage, but yeah, that is a really unfortunate matchup there. In the back, the opponent has their own Charizard, but theirs is running Dragon Breath. Dragon Breath, also a Legacy Fast move, has typically fallen out of use as of late, mainly due to how good Wing Attack is. Charizard farming up here, going for the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw is able to get the shield, continuing to farm, goes for the Blast Burn, but a beautiful catch by the opponent, catching the Blast Burn. Undercharge here, leaves the Greedent at 1 HP to get a little bit of extra farm. Opponent goes for the farm down, but able to reach a last second Dragon Claw here. Dragon Claw is gonna land, and I think at this point, you just have to Sucker Punch down with Kecleon. Kecleon has to shield everything here, and just hope that you can Sucker Punch down before the Dragon Breath KOs. Kecleon not quite able to get the farm down here, but the Charizard is very low. Kecleon commits the shield, gets the farm down, and that is a good game. Moving into the next match, picking up a tough lead, Kecleon into Shadow Dragonite. Two better responses in the back, so we see a save switch into Mantine, and the opponent responds with Galarian Stunfisk. This matchup looks pretty tough on paper, but Mantine can actually flip it in the 1 shield and the 2 shield. Mantine continuing to farm, Stunfisk going for the Rock Slide, and we see a no shield here, so potentially looking to try and play out the zeros instead of making a play for switch. Firing off this Bubble Beam. Bubble Beam number 2 is able to land, just debuffing Stunfisk's attack more and more and more, so these Rock Slides will threaten the Mantine not nearly as much as they typically would. Mantine farming up to the Ice Beam, again going for the Bubble Beam here, and now this Stunfisk is 3 stages debuffed, so this Rock Slide not even going to KO. Rock Slide does get Mantine into the red. Mantine continuing to farm, going for the Ice Beam on CMP. Ice Beam will not quite KO here. Ice Beam will get the Stunfisk low, but Mantine not quite able to get the knockout. Mantine is going to commit the shield, looking to try and make a play for switch here. Mantine gets the Wing Attack farm down and takes switch. Leaves with a Bubble Beam loaded here. Unfortunately, Bubble Beam will not do a lot against the Dragonite. We'll have to see how good is their counting. Mantine going for the Bubble Beam. Opponent lets it through. Very nice counting by the opponent. In comes Kecleon. Opponent blind switches in a Trevenant, and maybe there's a win con here. Opponent's unfamiliarity with Kecleon and its moveset has caused them to make some very interesting switches, which is helping Kecleon quite a bit. Kecleon going for the foul play here. Opponent lets it through. They definitely do not know what Kecleon has. Kecleon able to tank the Seed Bomb, looking for the Sucker Punch farm down, and able to get it. In comes the Dragonite. Dragonite will be met with a foul play from Kecleon, and then it's all up to Charizard to try and close the game. In comes Charizard. Unfortunately, Shadow Dragonite did reset its debuff from earlier, so this could be a bit tough. The question is, it's a Shadow Dragonite. Is a Dragon Claw going to be enough to KO from Charizard? Let's find out. Charizard going for the Dragon Claw, gets a shield from the Dragonite. Dragonite makes it to the Dragon Claw. The question is, can Charizard tank this? Charizard barely able to survive and make it to the Dragon Claw versus the Dragonite. Dragon Claw gets the KO, and that is a good game. Bit of a tricky lead in the next match, Kecleon into Swampert. Swampert has a lot of play against both Kecleon and the Charizard in the back, but we see a very nice catch, switching at the last moment to catch the Hydro Cannon onto Mantine. Mantine is going to be met with a Charm Sylveon, so this very well could be a Swampert double fairy strat. Going for the early Bubble Beam, trying to lower the amount of damage that Sylveon is able to do, but even with the debuff, these charms are unrelenting. Firing off this Ice Beam is able to land, dealing some nice damage to the Sylveon here. Sylveon is debuffed. Decision time for Mantine. Mantine lets it through. It's a Psyshock. Mantine not quite able to make it to the Ice Beam there. Going for the Bubble Beam. Opponent lets it through. Great counting by the opponent, as unfortunately the opponent is going to be able to win switch. In comes the Charizard. Charizard gets the farm down, but this means that Charizard is going to be aligned onto the Swampert. Farming up, bringing in Kecleon. Swampert farming up so much energy, and it is a double fairy team. There's a Fairy Wind Slurpuff in the back. Thunder is able to land onto that Slurpuff. Kecleon continuing to farm. I'm not quite sure what moveset this Slurpuff is running. They are running Energy Ball, and that deals quite a bit of damage. Kecleon farming up past the Thunder, baiting with the foul play, hoping for the shield here. Foul play, gets no shielded as the opponent calls the bait, and unfortunately this is kind of looking like game over because that Swampert farmed up so much energy. Opponent goes for the undercharge there, and we're going to see Kecleon undercharge as well. Going to switch into Charizard, looking to get farm, but the opponent brings back in the Swampert, and the Swampert is absolutely loaded on energy here. The Charizard has quite a bit as well. Charizard going to fire off the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw gets a shield from the Swampert. Charizard makes it to the Blast Burn. Blast Burn will hit for some heavy resistant damage, but unfortunately it's just not enough. Swampert is going to be able to make it to 2 more Hydro Cannons here. Hydro Cannon number 1 gets the shield, and they make it to Hydro Cannon number 2. This will hit for massive super effective damage. Down goes Charizard. They mud shot down Kecleon as well. Moving into the next match, picking up a terrible lead, Kecleon into Obstagoon. This is absolutely awful. Kecleon gonna get a bit of energy and then save switch into the Mantine. Obstagoon farming up energy and going to fire off a charge move into the Mantine. Obstagoon goes for the Night Slash, looking for the boost, and they get the boost. Things going from bad to worse in this game. They go for the boosted Night Slash. That deals quite a bit of damage to the Mantine. Mantine not going for the Bubble Beam debuff, going for the Ice Beam, wanting some damage and getting the damage. Opponent switches out of the boosted Goon as they send in Tangrowth. Tangrowth not going to appreciate the Ice Beam. Ice Beam lands, getting that Tangrowth deep into the yellow. Tangrowth is going to be able to win CMP over the Mantine here, and Mantine is just going to let that go. You can send in Kecleon if you want, but instead gonna send in the Charizard. Charizard will have to shield, as a Rock Slide would hit for double super effective damage. Charizard able to get the farm down. Charizard down a shield, but has an energy lead. We'll have to see. What does the opponent send in? They have Talonflame in the back. Talonflame has definitely fallen out of favor with the rise in prevalence of Charizard. Charizard lands the Blast Burn, going for Blast Burn number 2 onto the Talonflame. Talonflame does have quite a lot of energy here. Talonflame lets that through. They're trusting in the Obstagoon, but honestly, I think that may have been a mistake. Charizard shields up the Night Slash. Thankfully, Obstagoon does not boost this time. Charizard going to be firing off this Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw gets a shield from the Goon. Charizard able to make it to another Dragon Claw, and this will be grabbing the final shield from the opponent. Dragon Claw gets the shield. Aggressive switch into Kecleon. Oh my goodness. Trying to let Kecleon finish the game. Obstagoon goes for the cross chop. Obstagoon firing off another charge move into the Kecleon here. Obstagoon going for the Night Slash, hoping for the boost. Kecleon makes it to the Thunder, and despite the terrible lead, Kecleon thunders the Goon and gets the win. Hopping into the final match, leading Kecleon into Shadow Wall Rain. This is definitely a matchup where having access to Thunder could potentially come in handy, as that will allow Kecleon to hit for a massive super effective damage. Wall Rain is going to strike first, going for the Icicle Spear. Icicle Spear is going to land onto Kecleon. Kecleon farming up and going for the Thunder. Does Wall Rain respect that damage? Yes, they do. Opponent respects the Thunder from Kecleon. You absolutely hate to see it. Kecleon going to match shields here. Opponent going to send in Sylveon. Going to bank some energy on Kecleon and then send in Charizard. Charizard farming up, going to be met with the Psyshock from Sylveon. Psyshock will get the Charizard below half health. Zard done farming, now gonna fire off this Blast Burn into the Sylveon. Blast Burn able to land, and now can Charizard commit to the farm down here? Yes, it can. Charizard leaves with a ton of energy. In comes the Wall Rain. Wall Rain will be met with a Blast Burn. Blast Burn, big damage onto the Wall Rain, and now in comes Mantine. Mantine looking to wing attack down and hopefully debuff whatever the opponent has in the back. Wall Rain goes for the Icicle Spear in the back. They have a Shadow Charizard, and Charizard is going to have an absolutely terrible time against Mantine. Mantine tanks the Dragon Claw like it's nothing, and now he's just gonna Bubble Beam spam this Charizard until it doesn't have any attack anymore. Mantine going for Bubble Beam number 2 onto the Charizard, and Shadow Charizard actually takes damage from these Bubble Beams. Aggressive switch into the Kecleon as we see the catch. Very nicely done. Kecleon doing its job there, basically being a third shield and allowing Mantine to close this game. Mantine going for the Bubble Beam. That gets the shield from the Zard. Opponent resets their debuffs. They send in the Charizard, but Mantine, with a sliver of HP left, gets to the Bubble Beam, delivers the killing blow, and gets the win. All in all, some incredibly spicy battles featuring XL Kecleon in the Ultra Premier Cup. Kecleon definitely has the surprise factor going for it. Not a lot of people know what it even has as a moveset, so as we saw, especially in that game versus Gyarados, its moveset can definitely catch some people off guard. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible, so thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.